He had opportunity to see documents, to see the economic position of Uhumude, Ikpobaoka, and Orion local government areas that were not under his territory. So Eredia started building his mafia network. Then he was known as Prince Solomon Akenzwa. This was prior to his enthronement in 1979. Chief Nusaka Isekure was the point man to lead this network. Erediauwa had to do everything to take control of the Edo South and Edo Central. But unfortunately for him, Professor Ambrose Ali would stop him from taking control of Edo Central and Edo South. This actually led to a very big problem between Erediauwa and Professor Ambrose Ali, who was then the executive governor of Edo State. He had asked Professor Ambrose Ali to repeal the 1968 chieftaincy law that was not in favor of his family, because in the 1968 chieftaincy law, his family had a competent territory, like I said, was Useluego, while Benin City local government was under the Ogiamien. The Ogiamien, who happens to be the custodians of the Obiso dynasty and the representative of the indigenous people, was in charge of Oriomo, Ikpobaoka, Uhumude, and Uredo, which is now splitted anyway. We will come to that. Now, as we're still talking, when he tried to penetrate deeper into Edo Central, Professor Ambrose Ali became a brick wall. And if you have all forgotten, there was a time that Erediauwa organized the people in Benin City to sweep away the blacks of Professor Ambrose Ali away from Benin City. But nobody ever asked a question: why was the Oba of Benin doing such a thing? The Oba was doing it because he could not get what he wanted from Professor Ambrose Ali. That was why he was doing it. Now, because the Edo Chief laws of 1968 was never in his favor, this is exactly what happened. Now, he failed in this attempt to encircle the people of Edo Central. So he continued his takeover of Edo South while trying several attempts against Osarobo Okunoga Edo of Benin in the early 80s. So the statement of Isekure that he and others fortified Erediauwa at the epic of his crisis with Ewari can be pictured in here. The question is, why and for what purpose or for what reason would Isekure fortify Erediauwa? Erediauwa was a traditional ruler, and by the chieftaincy laws of the state, his positions was very clear. His title was very clear. So, was there any need for Isekure to have fortified him? The fortification that Isekure was talking about, because I remember in one of his press interviews, after he fell out with Ewari, he said, I and others fortified his father. He would soon know that he is not the only royal family in Benin. Meaning that Isekure knew exactly what went wrong in Benin after 1979. Isekure was invariably telling us that he was part of the illegality that took place in Benin. I'll give you a typical example. When Erediauwa became the Oba of Benin in 1979, Erediauwa stole all the lands in Eka local government, Eka village, I'm sorry to say. Erediauwa sold all the lands in Eka village, sent his brothers to become Enogi and Idunyoto, Utete. They started selling lands that never belonged to them. Now, if you go to Eka village, you will hardly see the indigenous people there. They have been overtaken by Erediauwa's mafia network organization. You see? Now, he continued, like he said, from 1979 till Erediauwa died, he ensured that nobody representing Edo South at the federal, state, and local government must pass through him. As a matter of fact, Erediauwa took control Edo South slot in Edo State local government, federal levels, state levels, world levels. He controlled everything. That's why I said this is a practical mafia network. Erediauwa was in control. And that is exactly what his son is trying to do. I'll tell you something. No retired military personnel or no Nigerian army officer or anybody from the armed forces from Edo South who joined the armed forces since 1979, including the paramilitary academies like the police, ever got admitted into these academies without the approval of Erediauwa. If any youth in Benin today gets admission into the Nigerian Defense Academy without a recommendation from the Oba of Benin, he's thrown out. I have a lot of examples, and I'm sure that a lot of you listening to me would have been victims. Your cousins, your brothers, your sisters would have been victims of this very particular scam. Erediauwa controls everything. The Oba of Benin controls. So you see, when you saw 16 powerful men coming to the Court of Appeal, Brigadier Idada, Major General Idada retired and co, you would have understood that these were all people who rode on the back of Erediauwa to get to the epic of their career. So they were there to show thank you to his late father. Otherwise, the Oba of Benin is so powerful. And if he's in court with Ogiamin, what do you need a retired parliamentarian for? What do you need an ex-senator for? What do you need a retired general for? What do you need a retired inspector general for? You see, Oba of Benin is so powerful. So one would imagine with the powers that the Oba of Benin has accumulated over the years, and if actually everything that he's doing are within the confines of the law, then would the Oba of Benin, he does not need Tony Kabaka to threaten people. He does not need a retired Major General Idada to move 16 retired generals, senators, House of Assembly, House of Representatives to the Court of Appeal, just to show the judiciary that the most powerful people are behind the Oba of Benin. It is an attempt to influence justice. This is why I said the Oba of Benin has been operating and started his mafia network from the 60s. But we are not going to allow him, because J.R. Sydney, I am the president of the Association of the Indigenous People of Benin in Europe for the Human Rights in Europe. AIPBE was duly registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission of Nigeria. In fact, we've started working with some legal experts in Nigeria, some lawyers in Nigeria. We're already working, we're putting documents together because we need to question some of these powers that he's exercising. An example, does Enogi has any power over the land of the people? Is there anywhere in the state law that Enogi has powers to dictate how lands are administered in a particular village? No. Enogis are not gazetted chieftaincy stools. Enogis are just brothers of the Oba of Benin. So legally, they do not stand any chance. They are usurping the powers of the local people. And the state government, as a matter of fact, it's neck deep into this conspiracy. Why do I say that the state government is neck deep? Now let me talk about the conspiracy properly. You see, as a matter of fact, in this conspiracy, you have the Edo State government really in participation of this conspiracy. You have the Edo State House of Assembly as well. You have the Christian Association of Nigeria Edo State chapter. You have the Pentecostal Federation of Nigeria Edo State chapter. You have the Nigerian Bar Association Edo State chapter. You have the Attorney General of Edo State. You have the Nigerian Union of Journalists Edo State. You have the federal government of Nigeria. You have the Edo State Commission of Police. You have the Directorate of State Security Services. All these organizations I've mentioned are all parcel of the conspiracies against the indigenous people. Otherwise, let's start with the state government. How can the Oba of Benin summoned his native doctors to Ring Road, the center of the city, and began to place calls on the indigents of the state. Is it not the duty of the state government to have said, no, this is not done because we are in a civilized society? The state government has never done that. The Oba of Benin took one chief prince, Dr. Ogiugu, a 72 years old man, had him beaten up mercilessly. And we have the videos. The Edo state government did not say anything. The commissioner of police in the state did not say anything. The DSS director did not say anything. The Christian Association of Nigeria did not say anything. The Nigerian Bar Association did not say anything. The Pentecostal Federation of Nigeria, Edo State chapter, did not say anything. And the Nigerian Union of Journalists, they ain't publishing anything that has got to do with the manipulations, the victimizations, intimidations of the indigenous people of Edo South by the Oba of Benin, using the state instrument. That is why I say it's a conspiracy. It's a practical conspiracy because a theory has to be proven. When you say there is when I say a conspiracy theory, it means that the conspiracy has to be proven. But this one is a practical conspiracy, and already we have a proof, because when a young man was taken to the palace of the Oba of Benin for criticizing of the Oba of Benin, this man was stripped naked, and he was asked by one Tony Kabaka and his friend to drink the urine of the Oba of Benin right in the palace of the Oba of Benin, and this video is still on the internet. The commissioner of police was supposed to have immediately intervened. At least they would have written to the Oba of Benin that such a thing should never happen again. Not quite long from that, one Prince Iduriase, who said he was the commander of the Royal Army of Benin, who lives in the United Kingdom, came to Benin City. He was stripped naked. And as a matter of fact, the worst of it all in that very scenario was that even Iduriase, the sword bearer in the palace, even have the guts to ask Iduriase to submit his passport. Can you imagine that? A sword bearer, a slave to the Oba of Benin. Why all these things are taking place? The Edo State government, what is the role of the Edo State government if it's not a conspiracy? The Edo State government is to protect the right of every indigene of the state and protect the right of those who are residents in the state. This is the duty, and this is the oath that Governor Godwin Obaseki swore to after winning the election and he became the executive governor of the state. He promised to defend and protect the rights of the indigents and the residents of the state. But Obaseki is not doing this, because we saw at the time Tony Kabaka became the chief security of the officer of the state. He was humiliating people. Obaseki did nothing. The Edo State House of Assembly, whose duty was to make laws that will make life easier for the indigents of the state, at the same time, remember the state governor, the commissioner of police, of their duties. They have never come out to say anything. They have not even come out to defend, rather to make a pronouncement or to denounce that such things happening in the capital city of Edo State. Imagine, the Oba's palace is just about 20 meters from the House of Assembly. So these things are happening very close to the House of Assembly. And the House of Assembly people are not saying anything. Can the Christian Association of Nigeria, they are not going to say they have known, because you see, when you have an authority, an institution, associations like CAN, they are the mouthpiece of the Christians in the state. And when things like what happened in Benin happen, it is their duty to make a pronouncement. But the Christian Association of Nigeria, like I said, part of the conspiracy, they have never said anything as we are talking till date. The Pentecostal Federation of Nigeria, that is the Hallelujah churches, those ones who always have miracles, who always see Jesus Christ, they always see God. They have never had the courage. They have never had the courage, because right in their front in Benin City, the Oba of Benin has been assembling all the nasty, dirty juju in Ring Road And these people who said that they are born again Christians and that they see Jesus every day, they did not even counter these actions by the Oba of Bini and his dirty, stinking men. Let's come to the NBA, the Nigerian Bar Association. It is a mouthpiece of the legal profession in the state. When things get to that level, it was their duty, and it is their duty, to make a pronouncement, at least a press conference, or at least a letter written to the Oba of Benin that was very, very dehumanizing, that they should not do it again. They did not do anything. They are part of the conspiracy. I'm going to tell you why all these people are not doing anything. The Attorney General of Edo State, the Attorney General knows where. There is nowhere in law that the Oba of Benin has the powers to exercise authorities by sending his brothers to become dukes, or the Oba of Benin creating dukedoms in the lands of the indigenous people. The Attorney General knows. He's not saying anything, just like the governor, just like the Christian Association of Nigeria. Even when the people, the indigenous people, they are crying. The indigenous people, they are fighting back. Nobody has ever come to their rescue. Look at the case of Ubiaza community in Igbobaoka. It's on the internet for everybody. Not the state government, not the Attorney General, not the House of Assembly. None of these people has ever come out to say, no, enough is enough. All right? The Nigerian Union of Journalists, this is the fourth realm of administration in any democratic institution. They do not write anything about the Oba of Bini. Everything that is happening in Benin City, they are all kept in silence. Why? Because they receive money from the Oba of Bini. Those who don't get paid, they get lands, the indigenous people's land, forcefully taken from the indigenous people. They give it to the Nigerian Union of Journalists, their members. They pay them, the Oba of Bini pays them. So the Nigerian Union of Journalists in Edo State, as far as the Oba of Bini is concerned, he is not part of what they are supposed to be doing. He is not part of what they're supposed to be doing for a simple reason. The reason is that they are part of the conspiracy. It's a practical one. It is not a theory. A theory is what has to be proven. A practical conspiracy is what is already in motion. I've just given 3 instances of what has happened. A 92-year-old woman, one Alice Egbobawaye, was hijacked in her house at about 2 a.m. in the night by Tony Kabaka and some illegal police officers. I never had any of these above-mentioned organizations, authorities, come out to say what is happening in this city. This is very wrong. This is becoming too much. There was need for the state to act and play a role. Anyway, Tony Kabaka is off the scene now because when he started, he got drunk and he started insulting Obaseki. And when Obaseki could no longer take it, Obaseki had to react because Tony Kabaka was now fighting him, Obaseki. Not because Tony Kabaka was abusing the indigenous of the state, the indigenous people of Edo South. Obaseki only fought back when Tony Kabaka now got drunk and started insulting Obaseki. The federal government of Nigeria cannot be left out. They will not say they are not seeing what is happening. There is no way, because today you have several organizations of the federal government, and most of these informations are all in YouTube. If you go to YouTube, you find most of what I'm saying. These violations, these intimidations, this what I call dehumanization. All right? The Edo State Commissioner of Police as well cannot say he is not part of this conspiracy, because as a commissioner, what happened in Ubiaza was enough for him to have intervened. This is not a question of because the Oba of Benin. We are talking about human beings, Mr. Commissioner. By the Nigerian laws, you are above the commissioner, you are above the Oba of Benin by Nigerian laws. The Board of Bini is just under the local government chairman. So I wonder why people like you cannot actually do your job. Are you waiting for people to start dying in these two communities before you say, okay, we are going to do something, Mr. Commissioner? So this is why I say you are part of the conspiracy. Now, the Directorate of the State Security Services, the DSS, is part of the conspiracy. Otherwise, they have instruments for carrying out what we call secret investigation.
Thank you. Audience out there, this man we just finished listening to is not an Esan man, he's an Edo man, to be precise, the Ogiamie family of the Edo people. And like most of you already know, this page, the Indigenous People of Esan Facebook page, is merely to sensitize the Esan people, to stand in the gap for the Esan people, and to make, to most especially, continue to uphold the integrity of Esan in and outside social media space. My message today is channeled towards our Esan people, and most especially channeled towards our royal fathers, the highly exalted kings in Esan land or of Esan land. This message is equally channeled towards all traditional rulers of Esan land and all political elites of Esan land. Esan jolly a ton hiang elekiere alo mokoko umomo. Why did I say so? We listened to this man not quite long, and then we've been able to see, to hear what Aibe Ewudare Okosun has been saying, to further rebuttress upon some very, very important things this man has made mention of in his video clip. Esans out there, should in case most of you are not aware, let me also bring this to your awareness that Esan has been overshadowed with Edo State that was created out of Bende State. Esan has been largely overshadowed. Esan has been largely dehumanized, and Esan land has been largely underdeveloped. And without being economical with the truth, Esans has been under the conspiracy theories of the Binis all this while. You also heard the man, this Edo man, when he made mention of how Abrusali was campaigned against simply because Abrusali did not allow Oba Erediauwa, as at that time the Oba of Bini, to take dominance over Edo State. And Abrusali, by reason of that, there was a particular protest that was championed by the Bini people to sweep Abrusali leg away from Benin. And then, similarly, before I proceed, let me also draw your mind back towards the one that happened, which is not even very far away, which happened in Uromi Kingdom. Similarly, we saw how they used the governor of Edo State, Governor Shomole, to suspend a king, for that matter, a king, to suspend the Onoji of Uromi. The tactical conspiracy theories behind that suspension, so to say, pardon me, The tactical conspiracy theory behind that suspension is known to us, the Esan people. But let us set our gaze towards the reality on ground. This reality that the Esan people has been suffering from. Everything that concerns Esan has more than 80% gone into extinct, because we are in a particular alliance with people who always want to ride on us. We are in a particular alliance with people who tell us that we are one, but they have designed a particular structure that is having us as second class. Us, the Esan people, as second class. I want you to also look at the Enigies or the Enogie. Enogie is singular, Enigie is plural. These Enigies that are created by Oba of Bini, which I am not condemning, but I will let you know what we, the Esan people, must not allow such impression to be circulated. These Enigies that are created are not constitutionally gazetted, and as such, equating Enigies that were created or that are created by Oba of Bini, equating Enigies together with Onoje or Enije in Esan land is an aberration. It is totally out of place. The Enije in Esan land are all constitutionally gazetted. These Enijes in Esan land, they are constitutionally recognized as kings who preside over their kingdoms in Esan land. But these Enigies that were created and that are created by Oba of Bini are not constitutionally recognized, are not constitutionally gazetted, and they do not have any kingdoms they preside over. So you can see the huge difference. But being that Esan people, we have chosen to continuously subject ourselves towards a particular alliance that do not mean well for us. Enigie and Onojes, they are in the same classification as far as the Bini Traditional Council, which the Oba of Bini made himself permanent chairman of, is concerned. This is why I said, when I started my explanation, my analysis in this very video clip, I said in Esan language, and I told my Esan people in accordance to the Esan adage that said, why did I say so? We see how the Ogiamiers, who are Edos, has been coming up to let us know all this that has been injected into Benin, where we are all under today. Where am I driving to, Iwo Esan? I am not of the Ogiamie family. I am not the one to cry the cry of the Ogiamie people for the Ogiamians. But I'm only using this man as a reference case to the Esan people. That if we, the Esan people, and our Onojes continue to play neutral in this subject matter, my plea to our Onoje is that we, the children of our ancestors, we, the children of our highly exalted kings, It's not like as if we are being dashed away to the Bini people. For us to be able to shine, to blossom in all ramifications as Esan people, we need to push for our independent recognition. We need to push for our independent state, Esan State. We need to checkmate again, reassess again, Agbazilu, Okbewo. What we're having on ground prior to this present day was Agbazilu and Okbewo. We need to look into Agbazilu and Okbewo that has been divided into different local government area in Edo State. That by reason of this, Esan have lost clans. You know, it is just 5 local government that is ceded to Esan people. But Esan people are not restricted to that 5 local government only. Esan indigenous people have clans in one of their local governments. In Esako West, in Onwa as well. So this is why Esan must now rise. Not only because Esan now have lost clans, or Esan clans are now lost, which I call the lost Esan clans. Not only because of that, but simply because if we keep to play along the supremacy of the Bini people, and if we keep subjecting and fusing ourselves into the constitution of Edo State that is having Oba as the paramount ruler of Edo State, that is directly telling us, it is not even indirect, telling us that we are second class. And as a matter of fact, being that Esans are the native aboriginals, we are not supposed to be in any brotherhood, remain in any brotherhood, in any alliance that is having us, native aboriginals, as second class. Having our kings, because if our kings are second to Oba of Bini, it means we are second class. Originally, Esans are second to none. This is why we, the Esan people, will not rise. Not to pick a fight against anybody, but to rise and rightly define ourselves and stand to rightly take hold of what rightly belongs to us. If Esan State is created, development like never before will be championed into Esan land, whereby all the states projects and federal projects that is only found in Bini City, Edo South, Esan people, being that we now have our state created, these projects, these state projects and federal government projects will be championed in Esan land, in Esan State, whereby we will have airports, whereby we will have seaports in Esan State, whereby we will have football pitch, whereby we will have televisions and radio stations, whereby we will have so many other infrastructure, whereby we will have such as Ewu flour mill, such as that has been bought over by Pastor Chris. If not that Ewu flour mill was bought over by Pastor Chris and renovated for a better use again, there wouldn't have been any projects in Esan land that will attract development. But when we look back to these long-time conspiracy theories, right from when Edo State was created, it has been a particular conduct where everything that concerns Esan, its glory will be used to glorify the Edo people. Now, it is now as unto the tails of the lion is now used to glorify the hunters. My people, Iwo Esan, this is not time to play along and play neutral. Highly exalted kings in Esan land, highly exalted king of Esan land, traditional fathers, traditional rulers of Esan land. This is not time to play neutral and keep mute. It's a time for us to now lobby amidst ourselves, within ourselves, and sit to discuss and to pave way for the creation of Esan State. It is an aberration for you, O kings of Esan land, to be second to another king. Ramde, Oje Goje, Oje Loje Ja, and Nelly. The constitution of Edo State that is suppressing our kings, that is even enough for us to push for our independent state. Just like the Delta people push for their independent state out of the Bende states. When Erediauwa was doing everything within his power to make sure he take hold of all the territorial space, to make sure that his periodism pursuit, his periodism pursuit or his periodic pursuit should be installed. The Delta people quickly lobby within themselves and push for the creation of their state out of Bende State. It is the same heroic league that the Esan people have subjected themselves to today. Because if you are a king and in your own territory there is emperor, you are subject to that emperor. So, we Esan people, we have always been independent right from the creation of Esan, right from time immemorial. Right from the beginning, right from the existence of the Esan people. That is why you see that in Esan land, we have different respective independent kings with mutual respect amidst them. No one is subjecting himself to the other, but with mutual respect. But how can all these kings in Esan land now be subjects to Oba of Bini? This is why we ought to look at it where we are lacking behind. Where what is supposed to be kept in the custodians or in the custody of our custodians, so to say. We cannot find them any longer. The true identity of the Esan people has been misplaced, whereby Esans are not seen as Bini people. But from time immemorial, the Esans were never Bini people. The beginning of the Esan people, the beginning of the existence of the Esan people did not begin with Bini. There was no, or there is no king in Esan land that is a son of any Oba of Bini, or that is a biological son of any Oba of Bini. Irrespective of the similarities that cuts across most tribes and languages in the southern part of Nigeria, does not necessarily mean that we, the Esan people, we are children of the Bini people or offshoots of the Bini kingdom. So my people, let us not continue to fold our hands, most especially seeing how it is turning to in Nigeria today. Like I told us before, Esan also said, Wana neju eshan, okeke, nuen neju eda vade. We are neju eda vade, ada miele, weda se shan, weda jua wode. Ramude we neju eda vade, ukile wa refiche. As it is in Nigeria today, like what we are seeing now in Nigeria today, ada mie Nigeria, on kire ye shon le ba kishan ye wo kisan. Ma lejumada vade ni ma fiche. In Nigeria, wana ye shon edele na mia. Ma lejumada vade ma de fiche. Ma ki yo Bini ma shan. We are not, we left the place, the territorial land, the territorial place that was called Bini Kingdom, which was originally called Igodomigodo. We left there because of the Bini cruelty, the Oba cruelty, to go and settle in our Esan land that was already in existence before Bini Kingdom. And if it turned otherwise today, we can't go back to where we left. We can't go back to the cruelty we left. This is why it is very, very important for we the Esan people to put ourselves together, to align ourselves, and to make sure that we define ourselves, and to make sure that we push for our independent recognition. There is no restriction in Nigeria constitution for a people, a tribal people, a group of people to file for the creation of their states. It is constitutionally supported and backed up by the Constitution of Nigeria. So what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? So my people, let's not fold our hands and continue to look at those that are pushing for their independent recognition. I am not a separatist. I am not a secessionist. But I'm a man who is for real. Having states, more states in our region, does not mean that we are fighting to break Nigeria, as separate Nigeria. Do you know what? Our region today would have been also part of the region that is also benefiting grossly from revenue that is allocated towards every region. Just as you see that the Yoruba have more than 5 states, same thing with the Igbos, same thing in the north, so it would have been in our region today. But because right from time, by reason of emperoric and emperorism league of the Bini people, they were wanting everybody to be in the same baskets, so as they to continue to reign as emperor over everybody. That was why we don't have states, like up to 6 states in that our region. But we cannot continue to subject ourselves into a basket that cannot hold everyone together. A basket whereby a particular group of people want to parade themselves over the others as the most relevant and the most important. My people, this is the message I have for us. Ato anyangele kere alo mokoko mu Esan ma wona wo